Hello, I'm Ned Drescher, a volunteer at the Dreibelbis Farm Historical Society. I welcome you to this virtual videotaped visit to our historic farm. We're closed for visitors for this COVID emergency, but I'm here to tell you a little bit about the place and hope to interest you that you might come back later on. We're standing outside of the town of Virginville in Berks County. Really, the whole town of Virginville and 800 other acres in this area was once part of this historic farm. The farm came into the Dreibelbis family back right after the time of the Revolutionary War, actually after the Revolutionary War had just begun. First Pennsylvania German who owned this was by the name of Merkel. And Merkel's daughter married a Dreibelbis son, and they got this land. 800 acres in what's now Richmond Township, Berks County, and even continued across the Maiden Creek into what is now Perry Township. We're standing pretty much on what at one time was one of the historic lanes that went from a place where they could forge the Maiden Creek and moved up towards the Macellum Springs area on what we think of as Route 662. But before there were Dreibelbises here, before the Merkel family bought this land, before even the Quakers had it under William Penn, this was the location of the largest Native American settlement in eastern Pennsylvania, where the Saucony Creek merges into the Maiden Creek, or the Onalawney as it was called in the language, was the largest settlement of the Lenape tribe. On this site, over 10,000 Indian artifacts have been found over the past 150 years. And if you take a tour of the farmhouse when you visit, you'll get to see a marvelous display of some of those things: axe heads, arrowheads, hammerstones, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll even get shown something called a dimple stone. We have the largest collection, I'm told, anywhere. The real marvelous thing about this farm is that the Dreibelbis family, like many of the Pennsylvania Germans, were incredibly frugal, and they never threw anything away. The great thing is, it's all here for us to see the things that people lived with 100, 200 years ago. The farmhouse behind me was built right after the Civil War. It's built, we're told by the family, on the foundations of the original log house from 1787. Being very frugal, when they tore down the log house to build the brick house, they didn't just throw away those big hand-hewn beams. No, just 50 yards from where I'm standing is a drive-through equipment shed. Can't call it a tractor shed, they weren't driving tractors at that time. But the beams in that tractor shed obviously are hand-hewn, and they're notched in ways that are not specific to that building, but from a place used before, the original log house. And in this, the brick farmhouse, you'll get to see some of the artifacts, the furniture that the family had even way back at the time of the log house. The Dreibelbis Farm Historical Society took over the management of this place, about 20 years ago now, little over. Land owned by Mark and Janine Dreibelbis. Maybe you'll get to meet him a little bit later on a future video segment. But they're making this available for the public to celebrate Pennsylvania German heritage, to celebrate the historic agricultural life of this area of eastern Pennsylvania, to protect the natural habitat, and to let people enjoy just walking a bit back in the shoes of our ancestors. We welcome you at this time. Thank you for watching this, and in the future, when we're open again, we hope to see you here at the Dreibelbis Historic Farm outside of Virginville in Berks County. Thanks for visiting.